Hello everyone. Today we'll continue the chapter A Triumph of Surgery by James Herriot. In the last video we have already studied that Mrs. Pemberley, a rich and emotional lady, she had a dog named Tricky and she loved that dog very much, so she used to overfed the dog. Because of overfeeding, the dog has become very fat and lethargic. Now, when Dr. James Herriot, a veterinary doctor and even the narrator of this story, when he looked at the dog, he found that the dog has just become bloated like sausage and was very lethargic, lack of energy, and then he came to know that it is just because the dog might be eating or overeating, or eating too much or might be overeating. This is what he got to know. So he advised Mrs. Pemberley that she should cut down the diet, but she didn't do she didn't follow the advice. So later on, after a few days, Mr. Herriot gets a call from Mrs. Pemberley. She says that the dog Tricky doesn't eat anything and it lays down there on the rug painting most of the time. Now this was what was Mr. Herriot confirmed about, that this is going to happen. So he later on advises that it is better that the dog should be hospitalized for a fortnight. So he arrives at Mrs. Pemberley's house and then he takes that dog to his surgery, his hospital. And he was sure that something had to be done for this dog. The confirmation about this he gets that the dog is greedy enough. He eats whatever he is offered. Therefore, he thought that it will be better if the dog is kept in the surgery in strict vigilation for about a fortnight. This is what we have studied. Tricky in the hospital. Now, as the dog was taken to the hospital, the narrator James Herriot came and took the dog in his car. So Mrs. Pemberley gave Tricky's things like his bed, cushion, his bowls, then his toys, etc., so that it will be useful for the dog. Now, at the hospital when they reached, Tricky the dog looked down at other dogs. They sniffed around it, they sniffed around the dog Tricky, and ignored it and started ignoring the dog. That it's of no use, very lazy. After this, how does the treatment start? So, treatment. So, the narrator kept an eye on the dog for about 2 days. Continuously, 2 days, there was vigilation by the doctor. The third day, the doctor offered plenty of water, but no food. Food was not at all given to Tricky. On the third day, the dog started whimpering, moving here and there, whimpering on seeing other dogs. Then the dog even followed the other dogs down to the garden. Then they were having their food, and when they had finished, the dog Tricky walked around the bowl and started licking it. So it was confirmed that the dog is hungry. So what the doctor did was, he gave something to eat. So this is how Tricky's treatment started there at the surgery. Tricky shows improvement. Now, Tricky started to show good progress. It ran about with the other dogs in the house. here and there, and it discovered the joy with other dogs. Being with other dogs is always joyful, as we do. When we stay with suppose students are there, students stay with the students and they enjoy. Teachers in the company of students and other teachers, they enjoy in the similar pattern. Even the dog started enjoying with the other dogs. Tricky started enjoying with the other dogs. Now meanwhile, Mrs. Pempre continued to ring to get the information all about Tricky's treatment. She asked various questions about Tricky. The question was all about how the dog is doing, whether the dog is recovering or not. Okay, the narrator told her that the dog was out of danger. Then becomes all right. Now since the doctor had started the treatment, so it was sure that the dog will show improvement. So Mrs. Pempre, she started to bring round some fresh eggs, so that the dog Tricky could build up some strength. Then the narrator began giving him wine and even offered him brandy before and after meals, most of the time before meals. So the dog began to drink brandy in the evening and wine in the afternoon, and started showing some improvement. After a fortnight, 15 days. Okay, the narrator rang her means Mrs. Pamphlet. He rang her and said that the dog was all right, so she can come to take the dog home. So then Mrs. Pamphlet comes to take Tricky home. So Mrs. Pamphlet arrived at the narrator's surgery in a big car. She asked him if the dog was better. The narrator told her that the dog was fine. He would bring the dog to her. Now when Tricky saw its mistress, it came running and jumped into her lap and started licking the mistress' face and even started barking. The next point is Tricky's cure, a trip of surgery. Trickis, Tricky's cure or triumph of surgery. This is actually the title also, triumph of surgery. So the narrator helped the driver finally when she came there and asked for her dog so that she could take the dog to her home. So the narrator helped the driver to bring out Tricky's things, means all those things like toys, cushion, bed, bowls and all, okay, to put it in the car so that they can safely take all those things to the mistress' house. Doctor told that nothing of these had been used. He had not used anything from that. Okay, as the car moved, the lady, Mrs. Pamphlet, looked out of the car and started waving. There were tears in her eyes. She said to Mr. Harriot that it was a triumph of surgery. So this is where the chapter ends.